Hey everybody, happy Wellness Wednesday. Marco Rodriguez coming at you. So today, I've got probably one of the most special guests that I think I've ever had the privilege of interviewing. The great, and some of you have probably seen her on social media. She's a social media sensation, what I call the great Jessica Bustamante Soto. She is an entrepreneur and author of, in fact, I've got her book right here, author of Cancer Void. How she has and continues the fight of beating cancer using natural alternatives. And she's gonna talk about some of that. I'm certainly no expert in that. I'm learning from her, imagine that. So guys, Jessica, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you have a lot of speaking engagements. You have a very, very busy life. And so we really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to our audience. So I guess let's start back. Well, I'll start wherever you want to start. I mean, we can go back to kind of the beginning. Tell us a little bit about your story and what you're doing and what you've learned along the way.
Okay, well, my diagnosis started back in 2014. At the beginning, they said I was a stage 2 and I knew nothing about cancer. So when we get sick, like everybody does, and it doesn't have to be cancer, where do you go? Doctors. I went to the doctor. They gave me, we're going to do surgery, we're going to do chemotherapy, radiation, the whole protocol. At the beginning, again, I didn't know any better. Literally 4 weeks later from my diagnosis, we did a CT scan and we found out that the cancer was already spread to the lungs. So that took me from a stage 2 to a stage 4. What does that mean? That went from a survivor to someone who is terminal, fighting the odds to try to have a quality of life.
Yeah, that's catastrophic.
It is. I mean, for someone just to get the news one day to the next, not feeling any symptoms. I had, my career on top of my game, never saw this coming. And it just, changed my life.
Yeah. So you were a business owner, right? You
I was. 2 salons at the time.
Okay, 2
in
salons.
my lifetime. 2 salons at the time when I was diagnosed. And it was difficult. They also told me that I would literally have to stop my career as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's if there's anybody out there and you're having that, hearing that, the C word, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that just is just probably one of the scariest words in the human language right now.
Let's be real, and this is why I do what I do. Statistics wise, 1 in every 3 Americans will have cancer at one point in the time at the rate we are going.
That's amazing. 1 in every 3.
Correct.
That's incredible. And it used to be where cancer was almost unheard of.
Correct.
And now it is the #1 killer in America.
Correct.
#1. It used to be way down 5, 6, 7, 8, and now it is now #1, followed by heart disease. And then, interestingly enough, the #3 killer in America is pharmaceuticals, medication. The very things that are supposed to heal us are now part of the #3 cause of death. But
Correct.
so cancer is now #1, and you're saying that statistically about 1 out of every 3.
Right. Now, let me also tell you this. 90% of cancer is due to environmental, due to poor diet, due to things that are in our control that people don't realize. Only 10% of cancer diagnoses that are diagnosed are genetically coming, whether they have poor diet or not, it is in their gene. But think of that percentage I just said.
Wow.
90% is in our control.
90%.
And they're still being diagnosed.
Right. That's amazing. So what did you start doing? So what happened? You got your diagnosis, and
Yeah.
I can't even begin to imagine how that rocked your world.
It did.
But you started doing something.
Oh, absolutely. I started researching.
Okay. All right.
Thank God. I started researching what could I do that is in my control that could maybe change the odds. In my case, as they said, I was terminal, and Marco, they only gave me 1 year to live in 2014 on top of that. So in my mind, what do I have to lose?
Right.
That's what I thought. what do I have to lose? Everything to gain. And what if I could prove that I could beat the odds?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what did you start doing?
Well,
I think everybody wants to know that. I mean, that was 2014. That's 6 years ago. You had
Right.
1 year left.
Right.
Um,
Right. Well, I started researching, and number one kept coming up, which is diet.
mhm.
Okay? People need to realize that our American diet that we have is not the way to go. Even if you talk to doctors, and I say this, I'm a stage 4 at 3 different leading hospitals. Not one has ever given me a nutrition class.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're saying you've been to how many?
3 leading hospitals.
3 leading hospitals. I imagine when you say leading hospitals, these are hospitals that are specialized
Oh, yes.
in. Okay.
That's all it is.
And we know that 90% of cancers are caused by lifestyle, diet issues.
Correct.
And not one of them made any suggestions in terms of changing your diet.
Not even going through chemotherapy. I've been through it 3 times. Not once has ever anyone come up to me and said, this is what you should stay away from, and here's a diet to follow. Nothing, Marco.
That's incredible. So what were they wanting to do?
They don't. They say, eat what you want, keep your energy up, you're gonna need it, because
And
they
then what?
understand the medicines
just
are very strong.
Start
Wow.
pumping you, or
For
up
me,
here,
it's the
up
porn.
here. Yeah. Wow. All right. So what changed for you? Like you said, you started doing research.
Right.
What did you find?
I found that diet was imperative.
Mhm.
Key tips, and this is why I wrote the book.
Mhm.
And it's all in there for you guys that haven't purchased it. I would highly recommend that you do, because it's a roadmap. It's a roadmap for someone who doesn't have answers. If you got diagnosed tomorrow, I mean, what would you do? Wouldn't you want to talk to somebody who's already been through the journey,
Mhm.
or at least knows? Well, here's the thing, guys. Little things. Sugar feeds cancer. Dairy feeds cancer. There's many things that I could tell you that I would say stop immediately. Stop immediately.
Mhm.
Now, there are people out there who say, well, I'm comfortable with what I eat. I like my diet. Jessica, I've lived my life. Here's my thing. Mentality, you're making a choice.
Sure.
And
Sure.
what I want people to understand is cancer does not have to be a death sentence. It's a choice.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. So, what are some of your other? So, what are some of the things that you've done? So, we talked about
IVs.
diet. What are some of the other non-medical or alternative strategies that you've implemented in your life?
Okay, I've done IVs.
What kind of IVs?
High dose or vitamin Bs, because I was lacking vitamin B genetically.
Okay.
Vitamin D, high dose of vitamin Cs, alpha lipoic, EDTA. There's many IVs that are out there that will help build the immune system, not break it down.
Okay. Water?
Oh, absolutely. 70% of our body is water. So I tell people, if you have any sickness and disease, not just cancer, you should be on an alkaline diet, including alkaline water.
Yep. I got mine. I drink, if at all possible, I drink nothing but alkaline water, and it has made a huge difference in my health.
And let me tell you, not only did the water make a huge difference with my health, Marco, but it also helped with the supplements that I'm taking, enhance everything in a whole.
What specifically are you taking?
Okay, so there's a pack that I take for omegas, probiotics. There's one called NFR2, NFR1, and NAD.
Okay.
And all these combined help rebuild the immune system to get my body functioning again, because my body's been so compromised. So in my case, I'm always trying to find ways to rebuild the immune system so that I have a fighting chance.
Okay.
I wish I would have known at the beginning what I know now.
Mhm.
If somebody would ask me, Jessica, when you were first diagnosed, would you have done chemotherapy? Absolutely not.
Wow. So I think you made a really important key point. So what we're talking about is rebuilding
Correct.
your immune system, rebuilding your cellular health, right?
Yes.
So we're not talking about this as a, we got to follow FDA guidelines, right? We're certainly not claiming that
Right.
this is a treatment or a
Yeah.
cure
No.
or that we're mitigating disease.
No.
But what we're talking about is cellular health, rebuilding that immune system. For example, the NRF1 that she mentioned, the NRF1 is a pathway that exists inside of your cells. We all have it.
Right.
We all have that pathway. But unfortunately, as we get older, that pathway starts to sort of shut down. Now, why is that important to you? Well, the NRF1 pathway, one of the benefits of having an active NRF1 pathway is it puts your cells into a state of mitochondrial biogenesis. That's just a big fancy word for the creation of newer and healthier mitochondria. Now, why is that important? Well, in terms of many different types of diseases, but specifically we're talking about cancer, since
Right.
October is Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Every form of cancer, at least as far as the research that I've been able to find, and I'm certainly not an oncologist, but my understanding is that every form of cancer has a few things in common. One of those that's in common is mitochondrial dysfunction. The DNA inside of the mitochondria becomes mutated, which then causes the mitochondria to die. And when the mitochondria starts to die, that causes the cell to mutate and becomes a cancer cell.
Correct.
So by having an active NRF1 pathway, what you're doing is you're creating newer and healthier mitochondria. Now, when she talks about the NRF2 pathway, well, that NRF2 pathway we know is the catalyst for catalase, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and over 300 different enzymes. Those enzymes, when activated properly, we know are clinically proven to reduce your oxidative stress or the free radicals, the toxins that build up in our body that are actually killing off the mitochondria, so they all kind of work together.
Yes.
And the formulas that we use are clinically proven to reduce it by 40% in as little as 30 days.
Absolutely.
And up to 70% in 120 days. So basically around 4 months.
Right.
That puts your body, it gives your body a fighting chance. And that's really what
Absolutely.
we're talking about, right?
So yes, and let's think about this. You're talking to a stage 4 cancer patient who has cancer in the breast, lungs, bones, liver, esophagus, abdomen. Yet, I'm still here 6 years later because I have constantly tried to rebuild my immune system so that it has the fighting chance. The way you gotta look at, the way I see these products is like this. If you buy a new car and you don't get an oil change ever, what do you think's gonna happen to the car?
Yeah. Not gonna run for very long.
Exactly, it breaks down.
Breaks down.
So if we don't take care of the engine, which is our gut, that leads everything else to function, then what do you think's gonna happen if you're not being proactive?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gut health, is so, it is key. It is the beginning of your health. They call the gut your second brain. And so, whether a lot of people know about probiotics, right? But very few people know that there is such a thing called a prebiotic.
Right.
Having the right prebiotic actually feeds the probiotics and starves the candida and all of the other negative types of organisms that I have in our gut that are actually fed by also the sugar, all the processed foods, the Cheetos, and the yellow dye number, whatever.
Correct.
It's so important, and I think that's a really good analogy, is that we take care of our cars more than we take care of our own bodies.
I think people, and I say Americans now, we're so focused on the world, the material world that we live in, that we're looking at the next best home or the next biggest car or success in maybe even having your business. But if we're not taking care of the body and ourselves, then what is the point in dreaming if you're not taking the action to take care of the body? Because without health, Marco, you have nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think you're right. I mean, we spend a lot of money on clothes, and nothing wrong with
No.
spending money on clothes or makeup and this and that and looking good and having the latest of everything, having the latest iPhone. We spend more money on that. But when you start talking to someone about health and you say,
Right.
well, there's a product and it costs $50 or $100, oh no, that's too expensive. Well,
Right.
there's an old saying that says, you're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later. And if you pay later, you're going to pay with interest. In other words, you're going to pay so much more.
I was 39 years old, Marcos, when I was diagnosed. I pray that no one ever has to go through this and have a journey where they have, dreams, just like me. At 39, my son was 16 years old when I was diagnosed. And before the cancer diagnosis, I thought, he's gonna graduate, I have my life to live. I had dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Never did I see this coming.
Yeah.
And it's changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm out there to be proactive and now give a message to everyone else that there is hope and that you have a choice.
And I think that was one of the things that first caught my attention about you. So the way we met Jessica was through Facebook, actually, through social media.
Right.
And so I was, scrolling through my social media, and I kept seeing, I'm not even sure how you and I ever became friends. I don't know, right? You get lots of requests and so forth. So, but I kept following her and I kept seeing her, and she would talk about, hey peeps, and I thought, peeps, so who is this person?
Right.
And so I'm like, Diane, come check her out. She's powerful. Like, she's a strong speaker. And then, of course, you and Diane, met, and you guys hit it off. And you guys have done a lot. You guys have gone on the road,
San Antonio,
right? These ladies
Houston.
are road warriors, going to San Antonio, Houston, and doing what?
Yeah.
Getting the message out that you're not, that it doesn't have to be a death sentence.
Yeah, what I want people to understand is that, again, at one point, I was chasing a dream, again, to be successful. For me, everything that I do has been based on my time, and I've never been paid for it, nor does it matter. To be honest with you, it's really my heart and knowing that people have to go through this, Marco, when they really don't have to.
Right.
So my message is here for the people out there to have hope, to know that there's a choice, and not to look at cancer as a death sentence. Most go home especially when they say it's terminal, they shut down.
Right.
And they don't look, their whole world crumbles, and that's it. If they give them a date of 6 months, 6 months it is.
6 months it is.
And I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I don't understand that when it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, and I say this it's almost very emotional for me, is that you are one of the most inspirational people that
Thank you.
I think I've ever met. And I'm not supposed to do this.
No, it's okay.
I'm the host. I'm not supposed to get emotional,
No,
right?
they're good friends of mine. You're friends.
But
You're my friend.
I love the fact that you have taken something that could have been a tragedy,
Right.
and turn it into a kind of a battle cry to help others.
Absolutely.
Right? It took a lot of guts. And It took a lot of guts to write this book, to take all of those experiences and put it together. And I just know that God has, just some outstanding things for you. And by what you're doing, and I don't know if some of you are going to understand this, but what you're doing is God-like. That's what God does. He's able to take our impossible situations and turn them around. All things work together for good for those who believe.
Right.
And you are taking a bad situation and you're turning it into something good.
Correct.
That is a God-like quality.
Right.
Certainly not saying that God gave you the cancer. That's not what we're saying at all whatsoever. But you are taking a situation that was presented to you because of the imperfect world we live in, the earth that we live in, and you are taking it and turning it into something very powerful.
Yes.
And I would venture to say that you have already made a significant impact in a lot of people's lives, in my life, Diane's life, and I'm sure in all the followers that you have and the people that you go out there and talk. And God has a lot more for you to do.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna keep on going. I'm gonna fight this, till God says it's my time.
Yeah.
Because it's not the cancer's time. As it is, I've already beat the odds. When you think of, someone given 1 year to be here 6 years later, and me still knowing that I wake up every day, and the quality of life, you're seeing me.
Yeah.
The quality life I have has been amazing. So if my time were ever to come, I tell people, I would tell God, honestly, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and getting me all choked up. Yeah, honestly, thank you so much, and thank you for your inspiration. There are people who actually can touch my heart and inspire me are few and far between, and you are one of those people. So
thank you for having me, Marco.
You're welcome, guys. So that concludes our interview for today. I hope it touched your heart, as it certainly has touched mine. Jessica is an incredible individual. If you're, and again, those of you who have followed my interviews before know that I have never promoted anything, but I know what this book contains, and it is phenomenal. I also encourage you that if you want to get to know Jessica, you can find her on social media.
Yes.
So Jessica Bustamante Soto. Or you can go on my page as well and send me a message, and I'll get you guys connected. Phenomenal, and we couldn't even touch the scratch of the surface of the information that she can help you to overcome any kind of issues that you're having. All right. So guys, that concludes our interview for today. Thanks again for tuning in. And remember, as I always like to say, there is a better way to live.
Absolutely.